Hi, everyone. I am Beth Smith, VP of Marketing at Great American Packaging. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for the Make Your Impact on the Shelf, Not the Earth webinar. We're excited to bring you this presentation live and allow you the opportunity to interact with our three presenters after the event. This presentation is part of the Great American Packaging webinar series, and today we'll be discussing consumer trends and proposed legislation are driving a push for large-scale change in sustainable packaging, and how to capitalize on this change and drive bottom-line results in an untapped market. Presenting with me today are two packaging experts, Bruce Carter, the president of Great American Packaging, and legislative expert Lori Hanson Sheets. Lori is the executive director of the Western Plastics Association and president of Strategic Partners Group. We will be on hand to answer your questions after the presentation, and to submit your questions, simply send it to us through the chat. And with that, I will hand things over to Bruce to kick us off. Mr. Carter.
Good morning, everyone. Environmental consciousness has grown exponentially over the last few years. Consumer interest in reducing the environmental impact of packaging waste is driving a push for large-scale change across all industries. Proposed legislation is supporting this initiative by taking steps towards the development of an infrastructure that regulates and increases packaging sustainability. Together, consumer demand and proposed legislation are not just calling for, but demanding great change in the immediate future. Great American Packaging is answering the call by introducing a new line of compostable packaging with 4 distinct products to match your flexible packaging needs. These products were designed to help you capitalize on the changes in consumer attitudes and their influence on packaging regulation. Supporting the new product line, we have focused our teams to help you navigate the complexities of the product and the legislation around it. It's one of the many ways we stand by our motto, how we serve you is what matters most. Acting as your steward for success, we've broken down this highly complex and challenging subject into 4 simple topics to consider as you explore sustainable packaging. We will be discussing consumer interest, proposed legislation, how to generate greater business value, and helping products stand out on shelf. So let's start with consumer interest. Consumers want sustainable solutions. When given the opportunity, consumers are eager to have a positive impact on the earth. Several concerns have heightened consumer sensitivity around environmental impact of packaging, including end-of-life waste, water pollution, and marine litter. According to McKinsey, 60 to 70% of consumers across all end-use segments say they would pay more for sustainable packaging. Consumers are concerned about the environment. However, there is a lack of education and, more importantly, availability of sustainable options. Many consumers are looking for more choices and greater accessibility of sustainable packaging for the products they purchase. Across multiple packaging categories, compostable and recyclable options ranked in the highest percentage point increase when consumers were asked, what type of sustainable packaging would you like to see made available to you? This chart is one example for the fast food industry, demonstrating growth in consumer preferences for eco-friendly materials and packaging and the opportunity it represents. And you can see here that there's clearly less availability to them in the red bar than there is desire in the green bar. So to answer this call, Great American Packaging has invested heavily to accelerate the development of sustainable packaging solutions. Later, Beth will be sharing more details on our sustainable products and how Great American Packaging is committed to help you navigate its complexities and legislation in order to meet your needs. The challenge in the marketplace is that consumer concern isn't yet translating into consumer action. According to a study reported by the Harvard Business Review back in August of 2019, 65% of consumers said they want to buy purpose-driven brands that advocate sustainability, yet only about 26% actually do so. However, we believe this gap has narrowed since 2019's report was published, and consumer action is increasing. While the natural gap between consumer intent and consumer action will slowly close over time, significant growth in sustainable packaging will be driven by impending changes in legislation. Bottom line is, if we don't close the gap, legislatures will close it for us. Next, Lori is here to walk us through current legislation and the anticipated changes they will bring to sustainable packaging. Lori?
Bruce, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to your audience today. And I think that all of this information is going to be great for brands who are trying to make decisions. And, today we're going to talk a little bit about state legislation that's happening all over the United States. Consumers have really hooked into eco-friendly packaging, and they're making demands like they have never done before. They want things that are compostable and recyclable, and their demands are creating pressure on legislators to figure out how to develop the infrastructure to compost packaging and to recycled packaging. Legislators are stepping up and they're proposing new policies, and they want change, and they're demanding it, and they're demanding it now. Before I get into what's going on with the proposed legislation, I'd just like to talk a little bit about what the laws are today as far as compostable packaging goes. The key things for you to know about compostable packaging is that the entire package has to be certified compostable. It has to meet D6400 or ASTM D6868. And that doesn't mean that each part of the package can be compostable and meet 6400 and 6868. The entire package has to meet those standard specifications and be certified compostable. There's many locations that, in addition to requiring the package to meet those standard specifications, they're also requiring certification. And right now, the certification body in the United States is the Biodegradable Products Institute, BPI. And BPI's business is certifying entire package systems for compliance with ASTM D6400 and 6868. In addition to the laws surrounding that, I also want to inform you that it's very important to understand that there are states that also regulate the terms compostable, degradable, biodegradable. In fact, in California, Washington, Maryland, and soon to be Minnesota, you cannot use the terms biodegradable on packaging. You can't say on a label that it's degradable or that it's degradable in a landfill. The only term that you're allowed to use is the word compostable. And again, in order to use that term, you have to be certified to D6400 or 6868. So right now, all recycling and composting is basically left up to local governments to either put together the recycling infrastructure, development of compost infrastructure, and with EPR, the switch will be from the local governments to the brand owner or the product manufacturer, the packaging manufacturer, to make sure that their packaging does not become waste, that it is recycled, that it is composted. This is happening all across the United States, and the fees, the money, the budget will go towards developing the infrastructure, collecting the package, and making sure that it is not waste, that it is recycled or composted. Any brand that has the opportunity to start designing their packaging for compostability or recyclability ought to get into it right now, because designing your packaging for composting, for recycling, is going to get you way far ahead of the game. And you could find yourself with lower fees in the near future by making those switches now today.
Thank you, Lori. And just a reminder, if you have any questions for Lori, Bruce, or myself, be sure to keep submitting them in the chat. You've now heard about changes in consumer trends and proposed legislation. I'd now like to shift to talk about how they create opportunities for brand owners in an untapped market. Topic number 3 is stay ahead of the competition for greater differentiation. We all know differentiation is key to staying ahead of the competition. Change is inevitable, and the untapped opportunity for your success lies in early adoption. Innovative packaging solutions such as compostable and fully recyclable films are already here, and their use will only continue to grow. As Bruce mentioned previously, we are already seeing an untapped demand for renewable packaging options. Staying ahead of this trend offers an opportunity for business differentiation, appeals to customer interest, allows for compliance ahead of legislation, positions your brand as an innovator and a leader, and more importantly, provides an opportunity to capitalize on brand loyalty and increase revenues from purpose-driven messaging. It is also important to note that consumers have seen a stronger shift toward purpose-driven brands since the pandemic. Bruce already spoke about a study back in August of 2019. However, in a study done in June of 2020 in Forbes magazine, consumers are now 4 to 6 times more likely to purchase, protect, and champion purpose-driven companies. According to this study, companies are leaving equity on the table. When a brand has a strong purpose, consumers were 4 times more likely to purchase from the brand, 6 times more likely to protect that brand in a challenging moment, 4.5 times more likely to champion that brand to friends and family, and just over 4 times more likely to trust the brand. And I quote from this study, these findings shed new light and unequivocal proof that companies who lead with purpose will see stronger reputation, brand affinity, and bottom line results. So this is your opportunity to position your products in a way that demonstrates to the commitment to using sustainable packaging that you share with the people you are serving. And this brings us to the 4th and final topic of our presentation, how you can make your impact on the shelf, not on the earth. Great American Packaging's compostable and recyclable products provide a platform for you to showcase your product in a highly decorated, high-quality package, as well as to deliver that purpose-driven message to build brand loyalty. Our new compostable line is printable, made from FDA-approved materials, and ASTM D64 certified materials. We do offer 4 distinct products to meet varying packaging needs. And just a reminder, as Lori mentioned, The whole package must be certified. We do offer certified materials, but any changes to the structure or surface of the material could require additional testing and certification. So it is important to remember that. Now let's move on to our products. Our very first product is our breathable product for products like agricultural films and other items requiring off-gassing properties. It is also ideal for non-perishable items such as food service like servingware or even food compost collection. Our Clarity product is a monolayer clear film. It's excellent for retail display for items such as produce like carrots, potatoes, spices, and herbs. It's also great for freezer applications such as gluten-free breads or prepared meats and vegetables. Our third product is our laminate product. It's designed for high quality printing and clarity for products that do not require barrier protection such as candies and overwraps, the twist ties, those type of items. And finally, our barrier product has flavor, aroma, and grease barrier properties, as well as strong airtight seals. The barrier product is ideal for retail pouches, such as the ones that you see here, which is a prototype of our sample pouch. Some of the many uses include mixes and grains, loose leaf teas, energy bars, chocolates and truffles. And we also offer a wide range of recyclable products, including classic monolayer bags and film, as well as multi-layer pouches and films. So whether it's compostable or recyclable film, packaging is the first impression your consumers will see of your product. And a standout package must perform multiple functions, and it's critical that all functions are achieved with the utmost precision. Great American Packaging is here for you, and this is how we can help. Number one, we can help you identify the right substrate for your product, whether it's for cold storage, food safety, UV protection, seal strength, puncture resistance, or recyclability and compostability. We can help you size the bag to properly fit your product and assure that the packaging process is both efficient and effective, whether manual or on automated equipment. We can help you translate digital artwork into a design that can be properly printed on a clear substrate, actually way more complex than it appears. And we can help you by providing FDA-approved resins that are safe for food contact while able to meet stringent ASTM D64 standards to be fully compostable. Our team of highly trained experts are ready and waiting to provide you the white glove above and beyond service with the environment in mind to help you navigate the complexities of recyclable, compostable, and all your flexible packaging needs. So thank you everybody for joining us. This wraps up the content portion of the event. We'd now like to pause briefly to give you the opportunity to ask our speakers any questions you may have in the chat. And while you do that, we're going to go ahead and start answering some of the questions that were submitted during the presentation. So we'll go ahead and check into that right now. And the first question that we do have is for Bruce. Bruce, can compostable products compost in the open environment versus a home compost or industrial composting facility? Bruce?
So the answer is it depends on the environment specifically. Yes, it can compost in an open environment, but at a substantially slower rate. It will not compost in a sealed landfill unless, obviously, the oxygen, moisture, and temperature requirements are met. And then currently, we are also testing degradation in a marine environment, but that's a highly complex issue since every marine environment differs dramatically.
Okay, thank you. And our next question is for Lori. Now, Lori is actually out enjoying our great green, beautiful earth, so that for this portion, she will be joining us by audio only. And Lori, our next question, what are the ASTM D64 standard requirements for composting plastics?
The high level explanation is it designates how long it will take to completely biodegrade into oxygen and water in an industrial landfill, and it guides the person testing it with specific testing standards and talks about how it biodegrades, and it has to meet those standards. I'm sorry, I've never actually thought about that.
Okay, and I'm going to actually jump in as well. And I know we do have a few of these standards listed. Must disintegrate after 12 weeks, completely biodegrade after 6 months. 90% of the plastic material must be converted into CO2. The remaining share must be converted into water and biomass, and it must pass ecotoxicity and heavy metals testing. All right, next question that we have is for Bruce. This is going to, now some of these questions we will definitely get back to you guys. The next question, what would you suggest for powdered detergents?
In terms of a structure?
In terms of a structure, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I can't offer that or answer that off the top of my head. It's one of those we're going to have to get back because of the issue is what's in the detergent, what are the ingredients in the detergent, and how are they going to interact with the packaging itself. So we'll have to get back to them on that one.
Absolutely, and we will reach out after the webinar to make sure we get your questions answered. Next question is for Lori. What is the difference between biodegradable and compostable?
There is no definition for the term biodegradable because of the environments in which the packaging would end up, or not even packaging. For example, how do you define a piece of a tree biodegrading in a forest? There's no time limit. There's no definition for degradation in a forest setting. So you have to do what the environmental setting is. So composting in composting facility, you don't have definitions for biodegradation in a litter environment, for example. So starting in California back in 2001, the legislature chose to try to define definitive environmental places where things would biodegrade. So that's why you have to take terms and match those definitions to the terms because of where the package or component ends up.
Okay, thank you. Next question is for Bruce. What product would you suggest for fresh breads versus frozen breads?
I think the compostable, the base compostable material we have is the one we'd probably recommend. The issue with all of these materials is a function of oxygen and moisture transfer and the requirements of the products. Breads are typically packaged today in low density polyethylene. And so we'd be looking for a product that most closely mimics that while still being able to hit roughly the price points that consumer might need.
Thank you. Question for Lori. Is there any other compostable certifying agency besides BPI?
Not right now in the United States for a full certification. There is another group, CMA, that is doing field testing. So actually taking compostable products and testing them on how long it takes to compost in actual compost facilities. But for the United States, the Biodegradable Products Institute is it.
Okay, thank you. Next question. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. It's actually a combination of questions. Are the biodegradable films made of cellulose? And really, that's a question about the bio-based percentage. So at this point, our films are a combination of components with a bio base of up to 90%, depending on the product that we're referencing. Um, at this point, there continues to be a lot of research and development in the market to get to a 100% bio-based product that does have the technology that can match the specifications of classic LDPE and other plastics. And as a company, Great American Packaging is staying ahead of all of those technology so that we can bring it to market and bring it to you as soon as possible. So at this point, yes, it is based on cellulose as well as other products. Next question, Bruce, how does compostable packaging help other than reducing plastic waste in landfills?
I mean, primarily it facilitates the movement of materials from your trash over to a composting facility as the primary methodology. Because today, unless I'm going to throw the trash into my bin, you have to be able to separate the composted material from the non-composting material. And if you put it into a low-density polyethylene bag, it can't go to the composting facility. So composting packaging is what allows that process and helps to facilitate that transition from trash into compostable materials.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and take this next one. How are brand owners already using compostable packaging and staying ahead? So what we have seen already is where brand owners are standing out and being successful is utilizing it in rebranding of products as well as launching new products. We've heard situations where brand owners have not been able to get into big box stores, and once they started implementing the compostable packaging for that product, it was actually accepted into that big box store, as well as there was a product that was on the bottom shelf. When they switched to compostable packaging, it was then moved up to the eye level shelf. So really utilizing compostable to get in the forefront and in front of consumers. Now, what I will say is it is key to remember that compostable is not the ideal solution for all products. But for the right markets, the right targets, and the right products, it can be very lucrative. So very important to remember that. And let's see, we have time for a couple more questions. For Lori, can you put compostable on a cardboard sleeve that is compostable and uses compostable ink?
If it is certified, I am assuming yes.
Okay. That was an easy one. And then for Bruce, how will the increase in bio-based packaging impact the food supply chain?
So based on the research we've seen, the answer is very minimally. There's a lot of products, even bio-based products, that are not using food quality products as an ingredients. And so based on the research we've seen, we're looking as little as between 0.1 and 0.2% impact on the food supply over the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, and I think we've got time for one final question. And that is, what are innovations we can look forward to in the future for compostable? And the compostable market, I'm going to go ahead and take this one. It is an incredibly complex and dynamic product. So we are constantly seeing innovations in development and technological advancement. Some of the many things that we've seen in the recent future and up and coming are technologies to advance the sorting methods as the infrastructure develops, how to expedite that sorting process. We're seeing new biofilms being introduced every day, or not every day, but very often. and methods to expedite the composting process to make it compost even quicker in facilities. So with that, I think we will go ahead and wrap it up. If you do have any questions, what we can do is we'll absolutely be happy to reach out to you after the webinar and let you know. And with that, we do want to thank you all for participating today and have a wonderful green day out there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.